first off, I want to deeply apologize to anybody who might have been a little bit triggered the other day by my release of me crying in the car. Literally, he's crying in the car. That was me. I was not crying in the car. For those who thought it was good acting, I got something for you. I could do much better than that. That was a very weak crying effort. I gave a really low vibrational type of effort on that one. That wasn't my best one. But I mean, either way, I didn't want to like really bamboozle people and really get their emotions and triggers all up. I thank you for all the family members, all the friends and people that reached out and who felt emotions towards me, because if I think about that too deeply, that might actually make me cry, because it does mean a lot to know that people really do care. But if you really do care about me, please like, share, and subscribe to this damn channel, because we are still trying to grow around here and we got to get these numbers up. 10K is far away. And I mean, we got to get there. Like, guys, I'm running out of months. Like, it's already about to be April. And if we're going to hit April and I'm behind. Let's just put it that way. Well, I wanted to share a story today because I want to talk about something, again, that's pretty serious. Talking about the whole Caleb Wilson situation when it came to being hazed to death over at Southern University.
To this story this week, and we have more details. Put up the picture full mass. Shocking details emerge in the hazing death of an HBCU student. The initial story regarding Caleb Wilson, a college junior who died after participating in a hazing ritual while pledging the Omega Psi Phi fraternity chapter at Southern University in Baton Rouge.
Now, personally, I know people who have went to Southern University. I got family who's went to Southern University, went to the fraternities, been initiated into the fraternities of Southern University. So some of the activities that he went through, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure some of them went through, and I'm pretty sure some of them probably engaged in some of those activities as well. Hazing is wrong. Hazing is effed up. Hazing is unproductive. Hazing is literally loser activity. Hazing is nothing more than just trying to be a bully again, unless you weren't one in the past. And if you weren't a bully in the past, then it's just your current way of trying to make up for lost time. That's what it feels like, because I don't understand what is the purpose of hazing. I don't see how it's productive to your fraternity. I'm in a fraternity, but it's a white fraternity. Now, how I ended up in that white fraternity is completely different. It had nothing to do with the black fraternities, pissing me off at the time, because quite frankly, I didn't even know they existed at my school. I went to Tennessee Technological University, the TTU. I went to the real TTU. But anyway, when I went to campus there, I was paid to be black. So I assumed there wasn't very many black things on campus. Like, for one every 70 white people, you'll see another brother or a sister walking around. And I will put it this way. Getting black chicks at that school was impossible, because all the black chicks dated all the athletes. There weren't that many. And if you were just them other brothers that was on campus, you were going to be hard pressed to find some black cheeks. So you were going to have to probably venture out, just saying. So that was just going to be a possibility. But that is losing the whole plot here. Anyway, back to the whole fraternal situation. When I got there, I didn't even know what Rush was. Rush is literally the recruitment process of joining a fraternity. You spend a couple days, you visit some houses, and pretty much if they like you, they'll give you a bid to see if you want to come back and join their fraternity, or at least engage in pledging. I went to the SAE house the very first night, which, I'm not going to let white fraternities off the hook here either, because boy, white fraternities really be hazing too. But they be hazing in a different manner that's, it's definitely different from the black fraternities. White fraternities make you do a whole bunch of crazy other ridiculous stuff that's embarrassing. They'll make you drink yourself to oblivion, or they'll make you do some stupid stuff on a slip and slide, or they'll throw water on you and throw you out in the cold, woods, and just leave you out there stranded with no cell phone and no service out there in the middle of nowhere, and pray that you can get back to campus. That's the kind of stuff that they'll make you do in some of them other fraternities. But my fraternity, the Sigma Chi fraternity, we did not do such a thing. You know why? Probably because the brothers couldn't physically beat our ass of my pledge class that showed up that year. We had literally the biggest pledge class in the history of our campus, which was 19 people. It's not that big. Small school, it's called small campus. The brothers were just your typical, love you guys, but y'all just a typical, some of them were the typical trust fund kid, the kids that grew up with money, a lot of arrogance for no reason, a lot of entitlement, a lot of what makes black people not like white people type of stuff. That's what a lot of them were. But a lot of my pledge bros were pretty ingratiated with a lot of other different people. A lot of us didn't have a lot of money. A lot of them were from the cities nearby where there's a lot of black people. So we were pretty much ingratiated, with a lot of different people. So I got to give them credit with that. Plus, a lot of them were athletic, which is the difference between white fraternities and black fraternities. A lot of the white fraternities, you don't see as many athletes. Like I said, you see the rich and entitled kids, but you don't see the bros who are swolled up out of the max that are on the football team or on the basketball team that also wanted to engage in fraternal affairs, build their networks, build their, potential connections that they would have with potential, future professionals or people that can help them out in their, career going forward. That kind of thing. With white fraternities, you really just spend a lot of time in pledging, at least in my experience, just doing BS. They always wake you up in the middle of the night. Yeah, you get blindfolded. Yeah, you got to get thrown into the back of some cars. You don't know where you're going sometimes. Now, the sad thing is, my fraternity literally had one of the biggest well-kept secrets in the history of America at one point in time. Like, it was really hard to find out what the Sigma Chi ritual is until some dumbass stumbled on Google with it and decided, like, oh, let me show the world. And everybody immediately wanted to burn him at the stake for the fact that he decided he was going to expose what we did. Now, we didn't do anything that's crazy. People be thinking that we're up there, drinking babies' blood, sacrificing humans and doing all sorts of crazy stuff with bones and skulls and all sorts of rituals with witches and shit. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. I mean, there's some other things that go into it that's pretty interesting and cool. Like, when you're in there, like, wow, this is pretty nice. But it's not as wild as you see in the movies. I'm telling you, there's not actual blood sacrifices. Like, you would literally think that we were tying people up on the cross and, redoing the whole crucifixion of Jesus Christ. That's not what took place. What we did was simply, pledge for a long time. Then you got your initiation week where you had to put your cell phones and all this other stuff away. They break you down supposedly mentally, physically, and all this psychological shit, which it wasn't that damn deep. But they do ask you a lot of questions, and they do probe you about a lot of things about how do people approach you on campus? How do they think about you being in this fraternity? Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you enjoying your experience? Do you like your brothers? It's a lot of basic stuff. It was a really good experience. And then thus later you get to do the same thing that other pledges, help them grow throughout their pledge process. Now, when I finally discovered that there was black people on campus over at Tennessee Tech, I was like, damn, where were y'all at? They were like, oh, so, we got a fraternity too, bro. It was like, oh, and then they looked and they saw that I had my, white pledge books in my hands. They weren't literally white, but they knew what they represented. And then they looked at me and they're like, oh, you're one of those. I see. But it was just kind of a joke at the time because we ended up being really cool. Even my fraternity ended up having to put on a step show for the black fraternities at my school. Kind of wild experience. Now, it was only, a two fraternity race in my school. I mean, my fraternity obviously won because we had the black guy. So we won. And also the alphas, the A5As who were running the event were like, come on, Mike, if your fraternity doesn't win this, then we're pretty much going to shame you for the next 4 years. Because I had to do this as a freshman. I mean, as soon as they announced the step show with all these white people around, I was like, I know I'm going to be in it. They all looked at me like, Mike, you know, right? And I was like, yeah, I get it. It really wasn't no big deal. It was funny to think that everybody's like, come on, Mike, I know. I had to step up, just like in basketball. I had to go out there and play too, but I also wanted to as well. But we also had the Omega Phi Alphas, the Q dogs. They also existed on campus as well. We also had this running joke that anytime there was an event with the Qs and they showed up, there was definitely going to be a fight because for whatever reason, the Qs love to wild out. And one thing that I realized that if I actually pledged a black fraternity, there was no way I was going to make it through pledgeship. Because just like I was talking about earlier with my, white, pledge class, we could whoop those brothers. Like if they wanted to make us do some heinous stuff, line us up, kick us in the balls, spit on us, do a bunch of heinous stuff like they do in a lot of these black fraternities, take paddles and beat your ass literally with cheeks spread. I mean, it's just some wild sus stuff that they be doing in some of those black fraternities that I was not going to have anything to do with at all. Like, I'm sorry, I don't represent that. I don't believe in that. I hate bullying. And if I swear to God, if somebody ever thought about bringing a paddle to me, we were going to have to fight on spot. I probably would have got my ass killed because I would have crashed out to that degree. There ain't nobody who's going to be taking my cheeks with no paddle like that unless I decided I was going to need them in front of a urinal and make them pee all over themselves like I did in 5th grade. Now, if that happened, different story. That's not the case. These people just wanted to paddle you because they wanted to keep you in line, break you down mentally, psychologically, whatever it took, just to make sure that they felt good about themselves. And that's when I found out and realized I could not do this. There's no way I would be a part of a black fraternity because of how they treated so many people that were initiated. Do they do a bunch of cool stuff? Yeah. Are they entertaining? Yeah. Do they grow? Yes. But the stuff that they put some of those pledges through, absolute BS. And it makes you start wondering, how do you not have animosity towards those brothers? Because you do. Because even in my fraternity, you had animosity towards brothers who treated you like shit throughout your pledgeship. It happens because when people treat you like that, all you can think about one day is how I'm going to get my revenge on you. And that's fair enough because some of the stuff that they make these people do literally pushes them towards death. And that's what happened to Caleb Wilson, which is a complete travesty. They literally lined this kid up and they beat him. They lined him up with his other pledge brothers and they started to punch him in the chest. And they punched him so hard that his heart palpitated to the point he had a seizure.
May have been fabricated according to the sources. Caleb Wilson, 20 years old, mechanical engineering student at the university, was pronounced dead on Thursday, February 27th, at Baton Rouge General Hospital after he allegedly collapsed during a ritual activity. Initially, it was reported that Wilson had been standing in a line with others in a park off campus when he collapsed. Then he was brought to the hospital by friends. However, on Tuesday, WAFB News reported that sources are claiming that the initial story was fabricated. Instead, the sources claim the event actually took place in a warehouse off campus and that the young Mr. Wilson had been punched in the chest. According to those same sources, the unsanctioned event involved 9 pledges, 9 young men standing in line, each taking blows to the chest. When the young Mr. Wilson was hit in the chest, he allegedly collapsed to the ground and began to have a seizure.
And when he had a seizure, they didn't decide to call 911 immediately. You know what they did? They acted like some little kids, even though they all want to act like they're grown young men and they're all alphas. Because I'm telling you, the black fraternities are different. They're built with a whole bunch of the swole, masculine dudes that you get on the football team. We're talking about running backs, quarterbacks, linebackers, all of them. They all in those fraternities. They live in there. Basketball players, all these dudes that are supposed to be pillars and leaders of their former communities, go out there and they don't represent shit at all when they have to go out there and be a man. When they had a little young dying black man, they decided they were going to take off his clothes, reshape that man and say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and strip you naked, put new clothes on you. Then we're going to throw you in the ER and we're going to run away like some hoes. That's what they did to Caleb Wilson. And he died later.
After Wilson was brought to the hospital, it's further alleged that the fraternity brothers met at an undisclosed location to discuss the developing matter. Now you have what looks to be a conspiracy. During the alleged meeting, members reportedly came up with a story that Wilson collapsed in the park.
Died later because they physically assaulted this man for absolutely no reason, because they were doing something a part of pledgeship. They lied about the location. They lied about what they were doing, all because they didn't want to hold themselves accountable. And I mean, to an degree, I get it. But F you, because somebody died. Somebody needs to be held accountable and somebody needs to go ahead and swell up. If you're a real man, step up. But unfortunately, it's too ingratiated into that culture that you cannot fix it. Because it happened in Southern University. You know who runs Southern University? Other black people. You know what those black people did? And when they were at those HBCUs, they joined fraternities. They joined sororities. They were in the same organizations that did the same terrible, ridiculous hazing that happened to him.
Throughout this initiation, some pledges had to pretend in front of all these middle-aged men that they weren't currently being hazed. The thing is, they know. They all know most of us are being hazed at the moment. And the pledges talk about it openly between themselves. It's the worst kept secret in the world, but the entire system depends on nobody snitching. The main point I want y'all to take away from this is that no one in this system is innocent. The mentors, the regional directors, the chapter advisors, almost all guilty, almost all aware. A Lincoln University vice president of enrollment and student life was cleared of wrongdoing in 1999 after an attorney brought accusations over him watching it happen and saying nothing. As Byron Hurt's Hazing doc stated, power has a way of protecting itself. Very few schools get held accountable for this. We had advisors at Georgia Tech who knew it was happening and did nothing. One of them was an alumnus of our chapter and stepped away because he knew for a fact that we were hazing.
And you know what they said? Well, he should learn to deal with it. I guarantee you that's what they were saying. Well, that's tough. He was just weak. He wasn't the strongest of us. Some of them actually think that way. Some of them actually think, oh, well, only the toughest survive and the weak shall perish. Pulling Vegeta quotes out of their ass. That's what some of them did. And it was really shameful. And I hate that this happened to this kid, because unfortunately this has happened way too many times. Like, if you watch this dude Cam Jordan or whatever, he does great videos and great breakdowns, and he admitted to being a part of the black fraternity and a part of a whole bunch of the degeneracy and a whole bunch of the pain that was sent out to a whole bunch of other people that pledged. Just because it was delivered to him, they delivered it back because it's part of it. It becomes a cycle. You know what happened in my fraternity? The fact that we didn't allow hazing when I was a pledge allowed us to not allow hazing for the next 4 years I was there. Now, I don't know what happened when I left campus. All I know is they did eventually get suspended and kicked off of campus. I think it was because they were partying way too much. We didn't allow that to take place. So thus we set a precedent of no hazing. When we said no hazing, we meant it. If somebody decided they were going to step over the line, you know what somebody did? They grew a pair of balls and they said, hey, homie, you stop. But honestly, that didn't really happen but like once. That's about it. Either pledges quit or pledges got kicked out. That's really how it went down, and that's how it should be, because nobody should be forced to join an organization against their will. Like, how bad do you need to be in this organization that you're just taking these ass beatings, that you're over here getting, macaroni and cheese thrown and dumped on your head, or people throwing piles of shit at you? Now, we did do some crazy shit when it came to white fraternities. I got one story that I'll tell you. And this is one thing that we did do that was absolutely nuts. And when I think about it, I'm like, boy, that was wild. We had this thing, and it was called giving away your letters. And all it basically was, if a girl on campus, or say your girlfriend, maybe the only way you had an excuse is if it was your fiance or something like that, maybe, or your wife. But if it was a girlfriend or just some chick you were clapping on campus, you could not let her wear the Sigma Chi letters. If she was caught with those letters, it was your ass. And I mean, literally, it was your ass. And we were going to literally tie this guy to a tree. We didn't hang him up. No, we didn't do some crazy shit like that. I could not stand for that. If we saw somebody going up at a tree, I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, but there's no way I can be a part of this. But we did tie him to the bottom and the base of the tree. We stripped this person down to their underwear. After they got riled up somewhere on campus, somebody with a pickup truck, I don't know how they found him, but they always found him somewhere on campus. I guess a whole bunch of the brothers just grabbed his ass and they just threw him in the back of the truck and said, get him! And either way, they hoisted him back there and they drive him to the fraternity house. Us other sick bastards who were just waiting for these moments to take place, we would have nasty shit sitting around the house, like whether it was rotten milk, rotten cheese, old food, stuff that smelled horrible. Old like sauces and ketchups and condiments. And what we would do is we would throw it at them. We would dump it on them. And I participated in that. I definitely remember dumping clumpy, chunky, like 6-month-old cottage cheese milk all over somebody's head, because some chick decided that they were going to wear our fraternity letters. We couldn't stand for it. And it was like, hey, homie, you knew what was up and you should have stopped it. And he didn't, and he got the results. Now, the funny part about this thing is nobody ever stayed tied to the tree. You would just get so lubed up with all sorts of disgusting shit that somebody always broke free. And when they broke free, it was the craziest thing that you'd ever see. They would get outraged, crazy. They would be like, oh shit, I'm gonna get somebody. And the first time it happened, I remember the first time it happened, the dude got loose from the tree and he had like ketchup, mustard, and like old milk, nastiest things that you could possibly imagine, basically shit literally all over him. And there was a brother that was still there. And you know how there's always some person, like when some action takes place or there's a fight that breaks out, they just freeze, they don't do anything, they don't move, they either shell shot, they're the deer in headlights. One of the brothers froze in place, everybody else scattered. Dude got loose and went right after his ass. We had a volleyball court right by the tree that we tied him to. Dude turned around, forgot it was completely there, tripped, fell all in the sand after dude just speared his ass. Because once he tripped, the dude got him and he just tackled him and he rubbed it all over him. It was so funny. It was so horrible at the same time because you could hear him screaming, oh no, oh! It was so funny. Oh my God, it was one of the greatest moments in my entire life. Outside of the fact that I was actually dumping this milk on this man, which was just absolutely foul. I can't believe how much like condiments we kept. We just put them on the back porch. It was really ugly, really nasty. Please don't judge me. But that is stuff that happens at white fraternities. Black fraternities, they punch you in the chest until you die. They beat you in the booty with a paddle until you bleed. They smack you and punch you across the face until you bleed. They want you to call them massa. They want you to do some heinous shit in some of these, fraternities. Different story. And that's how Caleb Wilson died. This kid was in band at Southern. Do you think he should have been taking punches from somebody who was probably a 220-pound running back? Somebody who couldn't wait to just punch them with everything they had in their body just so they can pretend and get their whole like glory days that they never lived to be a boxer and just punch the lights out of some freshman pledges? It's a real shame. And those people need to rot under the jail, because I don't care how old you, you're wrong. They're like, they're young men. They're young individuals. Well, unlike what happened with the Duke lacrosse team where they were falsely accused by that black chick who lied on them. Yeah, they deserve to be free. These people don't deserve to be free because they actually committed the acts. They need to be held accountable. It's wrong. It's effed up, and people need to have consequences for their actions. Period. So that's another reason why I joined the white fraternity. Pretty much. Yeah. Mostly just because I got sucked into it and I didn't know how to like leave, because I'm a person, once I start something, I just stay, until I think it's just not shit anymore. And I was like, no, I kind of like it here. I mean, if people believe in me, I'm a person, and like, people looked at me and they're like, man, we like you. You know what? Come hang out with us. I'm like, oh man, that's sweet. All right, yeah, I can hang out with you guys. I don't know anybody here, so sure. I mean, that's how I ended up being a Sigma Chi. Because they actually seemed to like who I was, and they cared about who I was, got to know me, and it became more. Just like with people I talk about my acting class. I love those people more than anything on earth, because they actually believe in some of the abilities that I have that I might not even have. I might not even be as talented as they think I am, or they make me think I am. Stuff like that. But either way, when people believe in you, it makes you want to gravitate towards them and stay with them. I don't know how anybody on earth will want to gravitate and stay towards these black fraternities, especially when it's all said and done, after some of the stuff that they made them do. Stick brooms up their booty hole, stuff like that. Violation beyond measure. I don't get it. Like me, I would love to go back and see my, Sigma Chi fraternity bros. I do. That is great times. Going back to homecoming is something I look forward to the very few times I went. But I don't see how some of this stuff happens to some of these people on campus. Like, I don't see how the parents, and I mean, they're probably, first of all, just having to grieve the situation. And I hate that I've taken so long to talk about this. But I get if they wanted to go and burn the entire campus to the ground. Literally go out there and ask for heads. Like, I understand if they had that feeling and they look for it, because they would deserve that justice. Because Caleb Wilson deserves justice, and those people don't deserve to get out. They let the kid out who allegedly beat him. The one who put him into cardiac arrest and gave him the seizure and basically led to his demise got out on bail. Now, apparently they changed some of the laws. Now it's apparently illegal to haze. If you haze, you get, subjected to a very small penalty. If you're convicted and it's turned into a felony, you might face up to 5 years in prison with a maximum like $10,000 fine. Oh my God. For basically hazing somebody to the point that they die, you might serve 5 years in prison. Being accused of hazing, I'm pretty sure only gets you around a year if you're convicted and a fine. Wow. What solutions? I wonder who came up with those rules. Probably the corrupt administrators who allowed that stuff to take place on their campus because they were there before. Yeah, I know that's what happened. Well, anyway, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I just want to go through this breakdown, talk about this today just a little bit, because I needed to get it out, and I need to get some content out. And I know it's not as good as some other content with all the clips and the edits and all that stuff, but I just want to get my opinion out there because I think it needs to be heard. Hopefully 300 to 400 people hear it, and maybe that message spreads a little bit further. Well, anyway, see you soon.